Remember those Saturday mornings when you'd grab a bowl of cereal, plop down in front of the TV, and get lost in the wildest adventures? We all know the big classics, but what about the ones that slip through the cracks? Those hidden gems you watched on VHS or cable as a kid and then completely forgot about. Today, we're unlocking the treasure chest of nostalgia with 10 childhood movies you forgot even existed. I guarantee at least one of these will make you go, wait, I used to love that movie. By the by, I'm the movie guy and let's start this list. Alright, let's kick things off with a movie that had no business being as good or as emotional as it was for a so-called kids film. Balto tells the story of a half-wolf, half-dog outcast who lives on the fringes of society but finds himself thrust into the role of a hero when a deadly illness strikes a remote Alaskan town. With children's lives on the line, Balto leads a desperate sled team through a brutal storm to deliver life-saving medicine. What makes Balto unforgettable is how it blends a heartwarming underdog story with surprisingly heavy themes like prejudice, identity, and courage. The animation has a gritty charm, the voice cast includes Kevin Bacon and Phil Collins, and the film is actually inspired by real events from the 1925 serum rum to Nome. It's one of those rare childhood movies that makes you tear up as a kid and it still hits you just as hard when you revisit it as an adult. Released in 1990, The Rescuers Down Under was Disney's very first animated sequel and honestly deserved way more love than it got. Picking up after the 1977 original, the film sends Bernard and Miss Bianca, the tiny but brave mouse detectives, on a mission to Australia. This time they're trying to save a young boy and a majestic golden eagle from an evil poacher who will stop at nothing to capture them. What makes this one stand out is how much it pushed animation forward. It was the first Disney movie to use the Cap's digital ink and paint system, which gave it a cinematic scale that still looks amazing today. Plus, the Australian setting made it feel fresh compared to other Disney films of that era. It might not sit on the same pedestal as The Lion King or Beauty and the Beast, but for those who saw it as kids, it's pure adventure-fueled nostalgia. Disney's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is one of those high-concept family comedies that define late 80s and early 90s childhoods. The story follows eccentric scientist Wayne Szalinski, played by Rick Moranis, who accidentally shrinks his own children and the neighbor's kids down to a quarter of an inch tall. Suddenly, an ordinary backyard becomes a dangerous wilderness filled with giant insects, towering grass, and life-or-death obstacles. What makes this movie so great is how it blended cutting-edge practical effects with pure childhood wonder. For kids, it was like seeing your imagination brought to life. Bugs were terrifying, sprinklers became waterfalls, and even an ant could become your loyal best friend. Add to that Rick Moranis' lovable performance, and you've got a film that's equal parts funny, thrilling, and surprisingly heartfelt. It spawned sequels and even a theme park attraction, but the original still stands as a true family adventure classic. Number 7 is one of those sports comedies that had every 90s kid convinced they could be the next football superstar. Released in 1995, The Big Green was Disney's attempt to capture the same magic as the Mighty Ducks, but with football. The movie follows a small-town Texas group of misfit kids who, under the guidance of an eccentric British teacher, form a ragtag football team. At first, they're hilariously bad, like scoring goals in their own net bad, but as the story unfolds, they learn teamwork, self-confidence, and what it means to believe in themselves. What makes The Big Green memorable is its underdog charm. It was funny, heartfelt, and introduced a generation of American kids to football at a time when it wasn't exactly the country's favorite sport. The kids were relatable, the gags were over the top, and it even had Steve Guttenberg as the town sheriff. It may not have become a cultural phenomenon like the Mighty Ducks, but for 90s kids, it was the football movie that stuck. Number 6 is one of those spin-offs that a lot of the kids watched on VHS, but most people totally forgot even existed. After the success of Anastasia in 1997, Fox tried to keep the magic going by giving the goofy sidekick Bat his own adventure. Bartok the Magnificent follows the White Bat, voiced again by Hank Azaria, as he bumbles his way into becoming an unlikely hero in Russia. When a young Tsar is kidnapped, Bartok sets out on a quest filled with magic, colorful villains, and plenty of slapstick comedy. What makes this movie worth remembering is how unexpectedly charming it was. While it didn't have the epic sweep or Broadway-level songs of Anastasia, it had heart, humor, and surprisingly dark fairy tale vibes for a direct-to-video release. For many kids, it was one of those tapes you watched over and over without realizing it wasn't a main movie. It may have slipped under the radar, but Bartok the Magnificent holds a quirky little spot in 90s animation nostalgia. At number 5, we've got a movie that was supposed to compete with Disney's Renaissance classics, but ended up becoming more of a hidden gem. Warner Bros. Released Quest for Camelot in 1998, hoping it would be their answer to Disney's animation dominance. The story follows Kaylee, a young girl who dreams of becoming a knight of the Round Table like her late father. When Excalibur is stolen by the villainous Ruber, Kaylee teams up with a blind hermit named Garrett and a two-headed dragon to save Camelot and prove herself as a hero. What makes this movie stand out, despite its mixed reviews, is its ambition. The film has sweeping medieval adventure vibes, some genuinely beautiful animation, and a soundtrack that gave us The Prayer, a ballad so good it actually won a Golden Globe. For many kids, it was their first taste of Arthurian legend, wrapped in a family-friendly fantasy. It may not have reached Disney heights, but Quest for Camelot still sparks that late 90s animated nostalgia. Number 4 isn't just a forgotten childhood movie, it's a full-blown fantasy epic that had some of the biggest names in Hollywood, yet somehow slipped through the cracks for many people. Directed by Steven Spielberg, Hook takes the classic Peter Pan story and flips it on its head. Robin Williams stars as a grown-up Peter who has forgotten Neverland, only to be pulled back in when Captain Hook, played with scene-stealing menace by Dustin Hoffman, kidnaps his children. With the help of Tinkerbell, Peter must rediscover who he really is and face his old nemesis in one last showdown. What makes Hook unforgettable is its sheer imagination. The sets were massive, the costumes colorful, and John Williams' soaring score made the whole thing feel like a dream. Robin Williams brought both heart and humor, while Dustin Hoffman and Bob Hoskins gave us one of the most fun villain duos in kids' movie history. For many, it was pure childhood wonder captured on screen, but over time, it became one of those magical adventures people remember only when someone says Bangarang. Number 3 is a movie that made an entire generation of kids laugh, cry, and immediately hug their pets a little tighter. This 1993 Disney classic follows 3 pets: Shadow, the wise old golden retriever; Chance, the goofy young American bulldog; and Sassy, the sharp-tongued Himalayan cat, as they embark on a dangerous journey across the wilderness to find their family. Along the way, they face rivers, mountains, wild animals, and their own fears, all while showing the kind of loyalty and love only pets can. What makes Homeward Bound unforgettable is this perfect mix of humor, heart, and heartbreak. The animals didn't talk with moving mouths. Their voices, provided by Michael J. Fox, Don Ameche, and Sally Field, felt like inner thoughts we all imagined our pets having. The final reunion scene, easily one of the most emotional moments in 90s family movies, is the kind of film you may not think about often, but the second you hear it mentioned, those childhood feelings come rushing right back. Number 2 is a 90s classic that had every kid convinced they could find their long-lost twins somewhere out there. Released in 1995, It Takes Two star Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen at the height of their child star fame. The story follows 2 identical girls, Amanda, a tough orphan, and Alyssa, a rich girl, who meet by chance and decide to switch places. Their plan: to stop Alyssa's father from marrying a gold-digging socialite and instead match him with Amanda's kind-hearted social worker. What makes this movie so special is this blend of classic twin swap comedy with genuine heart. The Olsen twins brought tons of charm, the supporting cast included Kirstie Alley and Steve Guttenberg, and it delivered all the 90s rom-com cheese kids secretly loved. For many, this was the go-to VHS for rainy afternoons, and while it didn't hit the same cultural height as The Parent Trap, it carved out its own place in childhood nostalgia. If you grew up in the 90s, you definitely watched this one more than once. And finally, number 1, a movie that was part action, part comedy, part nightmare fuel, and somehow marketed as a kid's film. Directed by Joe Dante, Small Soldier is about 2 lines of action figures, the heroic Gorgonites and the villainous Commando Elite, who are accidentally outfitted with advanced military microchips. What starts as a simple toy launch turns into an all-out suburban war as the commandos go rogue and unleash chaos on an unsuspecting neighborhood. What makes Small Soldier unforgettable is its mix of kid-friendly fun with surprisingly dark satire. It had explosive special effects, a biting sense of humor, and a cast that included Kirsten Dunst, Tommy Lee Jones as the voice of Mayor Chip Hazard, and even action figures versions of the Dirty Dozen. For kids, it was a wild ride of toys coming to life. For adults, it was a sharp commentary on consumerism and militarism. It may not have been a box office smash, but for 90s kids, Small Soldiers was the ultimate forgotten classic hiding in the toy chest. And there you have it, 10 childhood movies that might have slipped your mind, but definitely shaped a whole generation of Saturday mornings, VHS marathons, and popcorn-fueled memories. Which one of these did you watch the most as a kid, or did I miss a favorite from your collection? Drop it in the comments, I love to hear your picks. If this video brought back some nostalgia, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more movie throwbacks, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next list. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep on watching movies, guys.